Yas Marina's second round of the championship, which was 2 weeks ago, and it featured two sunset to night races. Freddie Slater taking the victory in the first of those in front of Alex Powell, the young man from Miami in Florida, and then Nikita Bedrin grabbing another podium finish ahead of Rachid Al-Daheri and Dorian Pain, who has got her first top 5 finish of the season in that race. Then the reverse grid race. Well, Keanu Al-Azari and Kiya Nakamura had an incident in race 1, and that dropped them down the order, but they managed to recover back into the top 12, and that put Nakamura on pole and Keanu Al-Azari in third. It was the latter that managed to get the good run, and Al-Azari went to victory ahead of Nakamura and Freddie Slater, with Rachid Al-Daheri and Nikita Bedrin in the top 5 once again. Then in race 3, it was Keanu Al-Azari all the way. He managed to get back-to-back victories, just as Freddie Slater had managed across 2 consecutive weekends. Well, Al-Azari did the double across race 2 and race 3 last time out. Second for Freddie Slater, and he leads the championship on 110 points. Third in that race was Kiya Nakamura, and he is third in the championship behind Keanu Al-Azari to the deficit of 15 points. Fourth in that race was Deegan Fairclough in front of Gabriel Stilp, so the 2 British drivers for High-Tech Pulsate. Definitely ones to watch as the season continues to progress. As we come into this race, Freddie Slater is leading the championship, as I mentioned, on 110 points. Keanu Al-Azari has 87, Nakamura has 72, Nikita Bedrin has 64, and then Rachid Al-Daheri has 49. And as a result of all of that, it's going to be a fascinating battle in terms of the competition we're going to see out on the circuit now, as the drivers are now gearing themselves up ready. You can see that the grid is clearing, and so we are in position and getting ourselves ready for the start of action. Great to hear from all those of you on the live chat. If you happen to be watching us on the YouTube stream, you can give us some interesting chatter. I'll try and keep in touch with it whenever there is an opportunity. So it'll be an exciting opportunity out there to see how everybody is faring for things. There's a lot of interesting things to talk about. One of the things we will mention, of course, is qualifying, because at the front end of the field, it's obviously been a very exciting battle so far for all of the contenders out there. Nikita Bedrin grabbing the fastest time in qualifying 1, 2 minutes 1.178, only 55 thousandths of a second quicker than Kiya Nakamura. There they are. To the right of your screen is Nikita Bedrin for PHM AIX, and to the left of your screen is Kiya Nakamura for the Mumbai Falcons. Behind them, Freddie Slater starting third on the grid, alongside Rachid Al-Daheri for the Prema Racing team, lining up fourth on the grid, and definitely the best chance in this particular race for the United Arab Emirates to go onto the top step of the podium. Dion Gauda lines up in 5th position. Great to see him back to his normal form. He was very unwell during the first 2 races of the season, first 2 rounds of the championship, I should say. But he's had a week off. He's had 10 days to go away and get himself recharged and re-energized, and he is back to his normal form. So he's right up there in the top 6, where he deserves to be. The second fastest rookie is Zach Scholar, who's done a fantastic job in qualifying 1. The Yazheat driver finds himself in 6th position on the starting grid. So it's going to be a really interesting situation for all of the contenders, but Zach Scholar has in particular put himself to be in a sensational situation, and we're going to really get to see what he can do as things continue to battle forward. So 7th on the grid is going to be Deegan Fairclough, the British driver for High-Tech Pulsate, and then it's going to be Matteo Quintarelli in 8th position on the grid for the Santaloc Racing team. 9th on the grid is Keanu Al-Azari. Very difficult qualifying session for him, so that's going to be a very tricky one for him to try and bounce back from, but he knows the circuit very well. He's grown up around here, so he does have the opportunity to make that work in his favor. And in 10th position on the grid, very exciting indeed to see Thiago Rodriguez getting himself into the top 10 of the grid for the Excel Motorsport team. The young man from Macau, who is the reigning champion in Chinese F4, has done a sensational job to put himself into the top 10. A really difficult problem in qualifying for Alex Powell. He had a mechanical problem in free practice, which then returned in qualifying 1 this morning, which meant he didn't get a single decent qualifying lap in at all, and he has to start this race from the back of the grid. Very unfortunate indeed for the young man from Miami in Florida, so he has to do a lot of hard work over the course of these first 2 races in particular, as he'll be hoping that he can work his way further forward. It is a very difficult start to his race meeting, and hopefully he can just try and make as much progress as physically possible, but it is definitely going to be very, very difficult. Jack Monaghan making a fallen in the water reference. He's making a Goon Show reference. Good for you, my friend. Kiya Nakamura's name could be said in that style. I might try that a bit later on when we'll see how that goes. Anyway, let's talk through the grid in one fell swoop, shall we? Nikita Bedrin and Kiya Nakamura on the front row of the starting grid. Freddie Slater and Rachid Al-Daheri, along with Dion Gauda and Zach Scholar Scholar, Deegan Fairclough and Matteo Quintarelli from Keanu Alazari and Thiago Rodriguez. Then Jack Beaton and Enzo Deligny, Dorian Pain and Alves Rodella. Then Lucas Samalisto doing a very good job, and Gabriel Stilp. And then we have Chu Yan Pu alongside Enzo Ye. Max Popov is beside Rafael Narak, and then Sebastian Murray is beside Jules Caranta. Kamal Murad alongside Chester Kiefer making his debut in the championship. Nicolas Stati lines up alongside Reza Sawurthan, and then Yevan David alongside Luca Schun, Maxi Restrepo, Kai Darianani, Everett Stagg, Fuyu Hao, and then right at the back of the grid, very unfortunately indeed, it is Alex Powell who is going to be trying to fight his way forward. Very difficult indeed. So let's see how it continues, and we'll have to see if the competitors can do a good job. Rory has mentioned on YouTube that if Taylor Barnard can go from 35th to 2nd in Formula Regional last year on this circuit, then Powell can do it in F4. Well, it's definitely wishful thinking. He's definitely got 28 minutes plus the 1 lap to try and make it happen. It won't be easy, that is for sure, and the competitors are definitely going to be stretching themselves to try and get the best out of this particular situation they are presented with. Not going to be particularly easy to see how our competition is going to continue to develop. But certainly here in the 7th race of the championship, they really are zipping along now. Nikita Bedrin has a great chance from the front row of the grid. Fascinating to see that Nikita Bedrin has actually dropped down from Formula 3 all the way to F4 for this one. So you would have thought that if you're going to make a drop, you'll only take 1 drop, but he's actually dropped twice to go even further down than Formula Regional to into F4. He has won a race so far this year, the reverse grid race in race 2 of round 1, so he is already a winner in 2024. But he would dearly love to add another victory to his tally. So let's see how that all goes. It could be really interesting to see how things continue to progress. But who is going to have the best chance of the victory in this one? Bedrin can do good things here from pole position. He has got the tenacity to hold the drivers at bay. Nakamura Berto has already shown how lightning out of the box he can be. So it's definitely one to watch out for. Freddie Slater, ever the consistent, has not yet finished a race in 2024 outside the top 4. So that is very impressive, and that's why he has 110 points. Keanu Alazari's got a lot of work to make up, to be fair to him, from 9th on the grid, but he's definitely one of the kind of drivers that could make sure it happens. So it could be a fascinating scenario for him. But we have to try and figure out what's going to happen. We have to try and see who's going to make the best of it. And there's a lot of drivers slightly out of position. Watch for Enzo Deligny as well, in 12th on the grid, making his debut in the championship in F4 UAE in the Red Bull colours. He'll be an interesting one to watch for Race GP. And also watch out for Dorian Pain, starting 13th on the grid. She has a great chance to fight her way forward. The drivers are in position, as you can see. We'll wait for the green flag at the back of the 33-car grid. There it is. It waves, and the lights will come on. And when they go out, we'll be racing for the first of 3 here at the Dubai Autodrome, the 3rd round of the 2024 F4 UAE Championship. Lights come on. When they go out, we'll be racing. Let's go racing, and it's a fantastic start. A bit of a jump, potentially, for one of the PHM-AAX cars. One of the XL cars has been left on the grid. A spin in the middle of the pack. It's Rashid Al Daheri. There's been contact. Slow-moving car in the middle, and Al Daheri's already out of it. I cannot believe his luck. Rashid Al Daheri has gone straight into the wall on the pit straight. Slow-moving car, and that is the Emirati out of the first race of the weekend. Absolutely disastrous. He's had contact with one of the Santalox by the look of it, as into the lead goes Bedrin. No problem at all for him to get away from the 3 Mumbai Falcons, and up to 5th comes Zach Scholar. And there is Enzo Deligny in behind Dorian Pain. Several drivers having to take avoiding action on the opening lap then, but absolutely catastrophic for Rashid Al Daheri. Big disaster for him. He's already had 1 DNF. There goes somebody's front wing. It's Deligny. Deligny in the Red Bull colours of the Race GP team has already lost his front wing. That is a terrible start to his F4 UAE campaign. So he's already out of this one, and we've got 2 cars stranded on the main straight. Surely that means we're going to get a safety car. And it's a big disaster for Kramer and for Rashid Al Daheri, as up the inside, that is the AGI Sport working his way through. That's got to be Jack Beaton, having taken avoiding action on the opening lap. He now makes the move on the inside of Keanu Alazari. Good work from Beaton. There are the 2 stranded cars. Now trying to make out which of the Santalox that is. It's very hard to tell from this particular position. I think it's the 93. It's Matteo Quintarelli. So it is Quintarelli that is out of the car. So very unfortunate indeed. More bad luck for Quintarelli as the safety car boards have come out. So we are under safety car. No surprises at all there. Very unfortunate indeed for Rashid Al Daheri and for Matteo Quintarelli, two drivers who live here in the United Arab Emirates. And there goes Quintarelli climbing over the pit wall. The safety car has already picked them up. And there is bitter, bitter disappointment for Rashid Al Daheri. He can't believe his luck. He's already had a bit of a nightmare in round 2 of the championship, and now round 3 begins in the worst possible fashion. So they're going to go through the pit lane, obviously, because there's a lot of debris on the main straight. Full credit to everybody else, by the way, managing to get out of harm's way on the main straight. But all sorts of drama, all triggered by a couple of drivers either jump starting or not starting at all. So I think it was Quintarelli that didn't move off the grid, or certainly moved fairly slowly, although actually that doesn't really tally because Rashid Al Daheri was ahead of Matteo Quintarelli by 4 places. So we're definitely going to need to see a replay of the start to figure out how that all happened. But a very bizarre situation then. It's not very often that you see as crazy a start on the main straight. So it could be a very interesting situation there, but what a disaster for Rashid Al Daheri and Matteo Quintarelli. They are very difficult there. So it's going to be a tough one, but we'll have to see how it all continues from that point on. So the rescue teams are on the field already. 2 cars to move. They're pretty quick around here at the Dubai Autodrome, to be fair, so I don't think we'll be behind the safety car for too long. Don't forget, we're only just going into lap 2 now. I would probably estimate that this is going to last until the end of lap 3. We're on lap 2 at the moment, so I don't think we're going to have any more than about 2 cars in jump start position. So a very tricky scenario there as the marshals are attending the scene. So Jack Monaghan has pointed out that perhaps Enzo Deligny may have got caught up in the collision. That's possibly a fair assessment. There was a lot of flotsam and jetsam on the straight for that one. Now, out of the pits, after everybody else, comes one of the race GP cars, so maybe a bit of a difficulty there for one of the contenders. Trying to see, did Lucas Samalisto take the start initially? I'm not sure he did, so he's actually joined the field a lap later. Now, he did have damage to his car after qualifying. Now, there's what we think is a jump start. Thiago Rodriguez, I think it is, that doesn't move. There's the contact. Rashid Al Daheri's got a problem with the car. That's the reason for the contact. So Rashid Al Daheri had a problem off the line and the car just didn't move, and Matteo Quintarelli couldn't respond properly. So fascinating situation, but I'm afraid it's all come a cropper for Rashid Al Daheri. It's a very difficult situation, and I think Deegan Fairclough had to take avoiding action as well. So he ended up having to get out of the throttle. Were there more problems further round that we didn't see? Well, yes, a couple of drivers had to take avoiding action further back. Big damage for Fairclough. So Fairclough lost his front wing. That's where the problems came from for Deegan Fairclough. So essentially he didn't have a front wing as a result of the contact. So that's where we had the problems. So it looks to me as though Rashid Al Daheri essentially just didn't have any power coming off the start. He initially gets a reasonably good getaway, and then he just has no drive, no power in the car whatsoever. And as a result of that, he gets hit by Deegan Fairclough initially. So Fairclough goes into Rashid Al Daheri to start with, and then Matteo Quintarelli just gets caught up, nowhere to go, unfortunately. And so it's a retirement for both Quintarelli and Rashid Al Daheri, and Deegan Fairclough is limping back to the pits with damaged front wings. So all sorts of drama in that first, but it just looked to me as though Rashid Al Daheri had a car problem off the line. Deegan Fairclough went into the back of him, and Quintarelli had nowhere to go, so very unfortunate indeed. I can tell you that already Quintarelli's car has been recovered and is on the back of the low loader. It's not going to be too long before Rashid Al Daheri's is as well. So, yeah, very dramatic indeed. I think the jump start may have come from one of the BHM AIX cars. I'm not going to confirm it, but it looks to me as though it might have been Max Popov, because it came from that side of the grid. It came from the right side of the grid. So maybe Max Popov just got a little bit too trigger happy on the throttle and just had to commit to the start. So I'm afraid that mechanical problems there on the starting grid for Rashid Al Daheri, triggering a pile-up. Looks like everybody's okay, but it certainly puts 3 drivers out of kilter, 2 of them out of the race immediately, and 1 of them with damage. So Deegan Fairclough now drops to the back of the field. So what does that do now in terms of the race order. So Nikita Bedrin leads, Kia Nakamura-Berta in second place in front of Dion Gauda, who got a terrific start in front of Freddie Slater. So Gauda's through into third position. That could be his first podium of the season. Zach Scholar in a great fifth place. He reacted very well to the drama. Sixth position is Jack Beaton, the Australian. Seventh is Keanu Alazari. Eighth is Thiago Rodriguez, the Macanese driver. And then ninth is Dorian Bain. She reacted well ahead of Alves Rodella. So Alves Rodella now in P10. In 11th position is Gabriel Stilp. Enzo Deligny has had to come into the pits to repair his car, and there's Deegan Fairclough having stopped his car as well. So I'm not sure if Deligny has actually stopped his car in the garage and actually repaired it, or if he's carried on. Can't see his car in pit road. Deegan Fairclough, I think they've just repaired it and sent him back out again, so he'll be at the back. Max Popov in 13th, although I'm fairly sure he's going to be under investigation for a jump start. Enzo Ye is in 14th in front of Yvan David as we look at Rashid Al-Daheri's car being collected and recovered. Kamal Murad is in 16th place in front of Sebastian Murray. Then Rafael Narak ahead of Jules Caranta. Chester Kiefer is P20 in front of Reza Sawudan. And then Alex Powell is up to 22nd already. He made a terrific launch and has already worked his way through a third of the field. Liu Kaixun is in 23rd. Nicolas Starti in 24th. Maxi Restrepo, Everett Stack, Fu Yuhao. Chu Yan Pu getting a terrible start, unfortunately. 28th position for the Chinese driver. And then Kai Daryanani is in 29th place. Now, I'm not sure if Deegan Fairclough is the car that's at the back of the queue now. He was certainly in the pits, having had his car repaired at the front end, but has he carried on or not, I don't know. And has Enzo Deligny rejoined after making a trip into pit lane as well? I'm not sure either. Lucas Samalisto, I think, is circulating, but he's a lap down because he missed the start. They had mechanical problems with his car after he had a shunt in qualifying this morning. He put it on 15th on the grid and then had an accident which unfortunately stopped the session. So big dramas all the way round the course. Now the safety car is only at the halfway point of the circuit, so I would guess, looking at how quickly they've recovered the cars, there is Rashid Al-Daheri's car now being brought into the pit lane, and it looks to me as though Deegan Fairclough may have got out of the car, so too much damage obviously to the front nose of his machine. Are they going to have to go around one more time? I think they are, actually, because we've gone further around the course than I originally thought we had. So they are going to need to go around one more time. The circuit's not quite clear on the main straight. So we're going to go into lap 4. Very rare type of incident, this one. So we are continuing in a fantastic situation there for the race leader, Nikita Bedrin. This is exactly what he needs to be in the lead of the race with not too much work and exertion on his tyres. So it could be a really exciting situation for the restart. I have a feeling Dion Gauda is going to want to prove a point here from third on the grid, in behind Kia Nakamura-Berta. They could have a really exciting duel out on the circuit now. It's a long old circuit, this one. 3 minutes 40 seconds for the lap, as pointed out by Mr. Rovny. That's the problem with such a long circuit. Is under safety car, it does deplete into the race distance quite considerably. So it is a tricky situation for our competitors out there, but obviously they want to make sure that they're in a comfortable and strong position. But it's definitely not the easiest of situations for our competitors to find themselves in. So the drivers are still having a very interesting second half of the race to come. Don't forget we have 28 minutes plus the additional lap. So there's still a fair chunk of it to go, although we're already at the half distance mark, 13 minutes to go. Just tells you how long it takes to get around the course here. That's what I've got in front of me anyway. So hopefully all should be well. But it could be a fascinating turn of events. If Dion Gauda gets a particularly strong run, we're going to get to see if he can push for the victory in front of Kia Nakamura-Berta. Freddie Slater just needs to stay pretty here in 5th position, 4th position, as far as he's concerned for the championship fight. You know, not finishing a race lower than 4th position, and he's in 4th position at the moment. He's got Zach Scholar right in behind him. So that could be particularly entertaining as the field continues to work its way forward. Nikita Bedrin is backing them up. Does that mean we're going to have safety car lights out? Indeed we are. So the safety car lights are out. They're in at the end of this lap, so we are going to go racing again. So this is going to be an important one to get right. Nikita Bedrin backing up the pack, hoping for a charge forward now. Look how tight they're having it. Bedrin really wants to catch out Nakamura Berto on this restart. He's gone for broke. Here we go. So he's floored the throttle. He's backed them up enough. But he's gone quite early, I would say. So Nikita Bedrin obviously feeling that he can make good use of this. Dion Gauda's not had the best of restarts, so Slater's going to be right on him on the way to the first corner. But look how early they've gone. They've gone through the hairpin, through the right-hander, and then through the final turn. Bedrin's hoping he's got this right. Nakamura Berta's going to go with him, though. So this isn't the best of restarts for Bedrin. Nakamura Berta has a chance on this first lap, but Dion Gauda trying to stretch away from Slater and Scholar as we go green, 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 and we're racing once again here at the Dubai Autodrome. Bedrin trying to break the toe of Nakamura Berta early doors as Jack Beaton sizes up the opportunity. Here comes Zach Scholar. He's going to try and take on Freddie Slater outside through turn one. Brilliant move from Scholar. He's done Freddie Slater. Excellent work from Zach Scholar. That took a lot of bravery and he's absolutely mastered it. That is a fantastic move from Scholar. Round the outside in turn one, bags of confidence, get up and go, and he's made it work. Now he locks up. He's got to be careful. Don't lose the back end, Zach. Keep it nice and tidy on the exit. And Freddie Slater's not quite able to make the move back on him. That was well collected, Zach. Well tidied up. So now they're going to go onto the back straight for the first time, and already there's a bit of a hunt from Keanu Elazari onto the back of the Australian Jack Beaton, so they continue to charge their way forward. And as they head down the straight, it's Bedrin, Nakamura Berta, Gauda, Slater, now behind Scholar. So Scholar doing a fair job here in fourth position, but can he hold on to it? Here comes Keanu Elazari, making his bid on the inside of Jack Beaton, diving down the inside line, and that's good enough. Elazari makes the bid, so does Slater on Scholar. Scholar's got to try and hold it, but he's squeezed wide. Slater holds the move, and Scholar back on the inside of Slater. Now Slater's going to come back at him on the exit. They're going to be side by side once again, and Slater shuts the door in his face. Nicely handled by Slater. Scholar will try once again, trying to drive right round the outside of Freddie Slater. Now Elazari's going to try and cut across on Jack Beaton as they do the duel for fourth position. Brilliant racecraft. Slater's held on here in front of Scholar. Scholar's not given up. He's still got good pace. He's got a car underneath him that he can be comfortable with, and now he's going to go long on the far side. Cuts back through again. And it's a pretty tricky situation here for all of the contenders as we continue to battle the way forward. But it is a tricky situation for all of the contenders. It will still be close on this outlap. Now, we've got Thiago Rodriguez there stepping up the attack. This is really good work from the Macanese driver as across the line, it's Bedrin, Nakamura Berta, Gauda, Slater, Scholar, Beaton. Now dropped behind Rodriguez. So the Beaton is now trying to shake off Dorian Pan. Here comes Dorian Pan to the first corner. Beaton holds and protects the inside line. Watch for a hungry Alves Rodella in P10 as well. Dorian Pan is going to absolutely master this if she can hold it. Jack Beaton trying desperately to defend, but Dorian Pan's got good movement and momentum. She can't go for it. She has to back out of the throttle. So Keanu Elazari now chasing down teammate Zach Scholar. They're in 5th and 6th positions. Up to 7th has come Thiago Rodriguez. And that's a big dive from one of the high-techs. That looks to me like Gabriel Stilp attacking Alves Rodella. Rodella gets plenty of curve. This could be enough for Stilp to size it up the inside. Has a look at it. We need to look in the background. Is Stilp going to get the move done? No, he has to bail out. So Stilp is there in front of Enzo Ye and Yavan David, who again is charging forward. Yavan David up to 13th, the man from Sri Lanka, doing a sensational job so far, making a good recovery drive. Then it's Rafael Narak in 14th position. Here's the dive up the inside. Stilp is going to commit to the inside of Alves Rodella. Can he make it work? Rodella holds it on the curb. Stilp's going to go slow in, but fast out. This could work out for Stilp as the back end comes out big time for Alves Rodella. Watch for Stilp on the far side. And Enzo Ye having a look for an opportunity to get past both of them. Not going to happen. Stilp attacks Alves Rodella once again. And in the background, whoa, a bit of wheel rubbing between Rafael Narak and I think Kamal Murad. So very close indeed between those two. Stilp is going to go long here. Trying to drive right round the outside of Alves Rodella, and he's done it! Oh, what a move from Stilp! He still commits to it on the inside line. Rodella's still there to his left. Squeezes him. Now he's going to come back on right in front of Gabriel Stilp. Stilp's getting annoyed now. So Stilp has to hang back in behind Alves Rodella. And still they continue the charge forward across the line. 11.5 minutes still to go. My timing screen was playing silly games earlier on. Here comes the move now as Al-Azhari's got past Scholar, and now it looks as though Thiago Rodriguez is trying to repeat the move. Nakamura Berta, meanwhile, attacking Nikita Bedrin in the lead of this race. So Bedrin still leads. Nakamura Berta second, Gowda in third. The fastest lap of the race has come from Freddie Slater in fourth place. Still some terrific duels in the lower positions as well. Enzo Deligny has managed to recover after his earlier visit to the pit lane and finds himself in 18th, battling with Alex Powell and Gilles Caranta. That means that Alex Powell is up to 16th place. The young man from Miami is absolutely tearing through the field. If he makes up 4 more places, he could end up on reverse grid pole for race 2. That could salvage something from his weekend. Meanwhile, Dorian Pain is having a terrific duel with Alves Rodella down the back straight. No, in fact, that's not Rodella, that is Thiago Rodriguez. So Dorian Pain working very hard indeed to try and get into 8th position. Look at Thiago Rodriguez's defensive tactics. Pain has to back out of it. Rodriguez locks up. Stilp is going to hold it now in front of Rodella and Yeh. Nice work. Gabriel Stilp manages to hold the position then, having got past Alves Rodella. Still they duel. Stilp, Rodella, Yeh. Watch for Yvan David. He's worked his way now past Rafael Narak. They're going to go side by side to the corner. And Yvan David is going to tuck in nicely here behind Enzo Yeh. Will there be enough room for Rafael Narak? He goes wide, and that's enough for Yvan David to finish the move, as meanwhile Kamal Murad is battling away with Alex Powell. So this is the battle for reverse grid pole, don't forget. Yvan David chops across on Rafael Narak, and that's enough to put Yvan David into 13th place. If he can get past Enzo Yeh, he'll end up on the reverse grid pole. That's how important it is for the Sri Lankan to get 1 more position. There's Alex Powell, 16th position. He's got to make up 4 more if he wants reverse grid pole. 2 behind him is Enzo Deligny in the Red Bull colours. He wants to make a good impression too. Very tough stuff. So down the main straight, Jack Beaton still attacking Scholar. To the first corner, Stilp is still dueling with Alves Rodella. Further back, we've got Kamal Murad going wheel to wheel here with the high-tech. And he's very close indeed for Reza Saruthan. So can Reza Saruthan get the move done? No, he can't. He has to hang back. And that is with Max Popov, my apologies. So they're still battling away, Max Popov and Reza Saruthan. There is the man in front. That's Kamal Murad. So Enzo Deligny dueling away with him. And then Gilles Caranta and Chester Kiefer are in the mix. So a lot of good battles going on there. Fantastic stuff in F4 UAE all the way through this field. There's Liu Kai-shun, who is currently battling away with his teammate Chu Yan Pu, or I should say his former teammate Liu Kai-shun, because they've actually moved to different teams. Here's Dorian Pain, needing again to commit to this move on Alves Rodella. Rodella locks up once more, but still holds the line. Yvan David going wheel to wheel there with Enzo Yeh. That's enough for the moment to hold on to it. Oh, sorry, that's still Rafael Narak, isn't it? There's Enzo Yeh in the Race GP car. But watch Alex Powell. Alex Powell now having a sizable look at Rafael Narak. Gonna dive up the inside. And Alex Powell makes the move on Rafael Narak. Nicely done. Narak has to go wide onto the curbs. He can't really come back from that. Alex Powell has 2 more cars to pass to get himself into reverse grid pole. He's up to 14. 2 more will see him on the reverse grid pole for race 2. He's still got to work hard. Still enough time to do it. Maybe no points are available in this one, but certainly a reverse grid pole is available for race 2. Here comes the battle from Gilles Caranta. He's now sizing up Kamal Murad. A few cars back from this. Enzo Deligny now looking at Rafael Narak. He wants to try and make his bid. The Frenchman, who battled in Spanish F4 last year, currently masterminded by the 2-time FIA karting world champion Lorenzo Travasanuto, who is here with him in Dubai. Still chopping across on Alves Rodella, very nearly on the red runoff area rather than the actual racetrack on the way down to the first corner. But obviously they use a lot of it so they can get the fastest possible trajectory through the turns. Bedrin, in the lead of the race, is still only half a second ahead of Nakamura Berta, by the way. Great dueling in the middle of the pack. There's a big twitch there. Massive twitch comes through from the high-tech Pulsate in front of us. So you can see how tricky it is to hold the car on the racing line. That's Gabriel Stilp getting sideways. Look, Bedrin is really worried about Nakamura Berta now. He's desperately trying to shake the toe. Dion Gowda, great run from him this time. 3rd position. Great to see him where he belongs. Back at the front of a pack again. Nakamura Roberta actually locks the brake, trying to deal with Nikita Bedrin on this occasion. No panic for Freddie Slater in 4th place. He has the fastest lap. You don't get a bonus point for that in F4 UAE, but he has yet to finish a race outside the top 4, and he's currently in 4th place. So it's not panic stations for Freddie Slater by any means at all. Down to the hairpin once again. Bedrin's done enough to deal with the Mumbai Falcon trio at the moment. So the PHM AIX driver really aggressive on the way through. You've got to be quite dictatorial on the brakes through that particular part of the course. You've really got to be very deliberate on the turn-in point. So it's really tricky as they continue on. This could be a fascinating move. Nakamura Berta on the back of Bedrin once again. He's not quite close enough to challenge for the move, but look at Bedrin swarming around. He really doesn't want Nakamura Berta to get even a sniff of the draft. He clearly feels that Nakamura Berta is going to be fast enough to challenge him for the win. 5th place is Al-Azhari, by the way, in behind Freddie Slater. Then a couple of, well, a few car legs back now, actually, from Zach Scholar, who's ahead of Jack Beaton. 8th is Thiago Rodriguez. 9th is Dorian Pain. And then the battle for reverse grid pole. And up to 13th has come Alex Powell. One more car will put him on reverse grid pole. Stilp is still trying to shake off Rodella. There is Enzo Ye and Alex Powell in 13th. One more car for the young man from Miami, and he ends up 12th. That'll put him on pole for race 2. That's why this is such an intense battle. That's why it's absolutely fierce. So there's Gilles Caranta in the Santalop. Still acclimatising to his new team. He was with Race GP last time out. He's moved across to Santalop so he can finish the season. And currently tucked up behind the number 24. That's the Luxembourger Chester Keeper, who is based here in the United Arab Emirates. Alex Powell, one car from reverse grid pole. So many people in Kingston Town in Jamaica, in Miami in Florida, and across his European legion of fans will be willing him on. He only needs to overtake one car to bounce back this weekend. It may not be enough for race 1 to be particularly strong, but he could get the reverse grid pole for race 2. And look, this is a stalemate. Stilp and Rodella. Enzo Ye's being boxed in. He really, ideally, needs to get past one of these two to thwart the onslaught from Alex Powell. If he can't get reverse grid pole, then 2nd, i.e. 11th in this race, might be the best he can hope for. Stilp locks up. That backs up Rodella. That backs up Ye. That backs up Powell. The more you back each other up, the more threat from behind you're going to receive. And Enzo Deligny is not far away now either, in 14th place. Ivan David's not far away in 15th either. Still really having to go ultra defensive now. Here are the two Mumbai Falcons. And that's Freddie Slater in 4th, trying to close up on his teammate Dion Gowda. He's the only driver in the Mumbai Falcons team who can claim to have Indian heritage. But Nakamura Berta's got even closer to Nikita Bedrin. Give it one more lap and Nakamura Berta could go for this. He might even have a chance down the back straight. 5th place Al-Azhari on his own. That'll be a boring race from his point of view. Scholar, Beaton, Rodriguez and Pain still dueling over 6th place. Dorian Pain has to think about it. But in the background, that's where the real battle is. Here we go. And up to the inside. Enzo Ye's going to drive around the outside of Alves. Rodella locks up. They're going to go side by side. And wide goes Enzo Ye. This could be the moment for Alex Powell. And he knows it. Keep the foot in. Ye actually commits to the move and gets past Alves Rodella. Now, surely there could be a conversation about whether he's gained an advantage off the racetrack. Enzo Ye locks up big time this time. Big slide from Rodella, and the door is open for Deligny to go for Alex Powell. Great racecraft. Is this going to be enough for an overtaking move, potentially? Rodella is sliding. The tyres have just dropped for him and the XL team. So there is Scholar, Beaton, Rodriguez and Pain, but look at the background. That is a really tricky XL car for Alves Rodella to hang on to. Here comes Alex Powell with Enzo Deligny in tow. Is Alex Powell going to get through in a 12th position and therefore bag reverse grid pole for race 2? Deligny having a think about it as well. Powell's got to commit on the brakes. Rodella is too. They're going to bang wheels if they're not careful. They're both going to drift wide. Powell will commit to the inside line. Rodella drifts out wide off the turn completely. And Enzo Deligny sweeps past both of them. Alex Powell now squeezes Rodella to the inside line. Rodella can come in. They've actually made contact with each other now. Here comes Ivan David. The Sri Lankan going for the bid. But Alex Powell, I swear there was a little bit of a nudge between him and Rodella. Looks like they've got away with it. but Riddella is keeping that car very wide indeed. Watch for Van David, the Sri Lankan, could go the long way. Powell gets the undercut. Brilliant from Alex Powell. Deals with it masterfully. Van David gets boxed in now behind Rafael Narak. And here comes Kamal Murad, the Australian. Thinks he fancies his chances now. Excellent racing in F4 UAE. But as a result of all of that, up to 12th and reverse grid pole for race 2. Now comes the Frenchman Enzo Deligny on his debut. He could end up with a reverse grid pole. So Alex Powell now to 13th. Look at the defensive tactics. Kamal Murad just banzais on the inside of both men. As that's Chester Kiefer trying to go wheel to wheel now with Van David. He makes the move, he gets it done. So Kamal Murad and Chester Kiefer have both got past Van David. Now it's Gilles Carranza's turn to take on his teammate. And at the back of this little squabble, we've got Reza Suwerthan. So Reza Suwerthan in the high-tech fancying his chances as well now. So the young man from Bournemouth in the United Kingdom trying to get his move done on the inside line. Can Reza Suwerthan figure out an opportunity? Kamal Murad going a little bit wide. And there is Nicolas Starty, the Australian. So Gabriel still desperately trying to hang on to this 10th position and the final championship point. But behind him, we still have a very fired up Enzo Ye in 11th position. That'll be front row for race 2, don't forget. And in 12th now is Enzo Deligny. Right, here is Freddie Slater. In behind Dion Gauda still. Nakamura Berta still eager to try and take on Nikita Bedrin in the lead of the race. But it is looking pretty stalemate at the moment. And the time, I can tell you, has run down to 0. So with the time having run down to 0, we are now in a fascinating scenario. It's time to see who is going to get the job done as they come through the final bout of racing. Come into the final turn, Freddie Slater in behind Dion Gauda. And as they come onto the main straight this time by, last lap board is out. Here we go. So Kiya Nakamura Berta is running out of opportunities here to make this work in his favour. And I think Nikita Bedrin may just have enough here. So Nikita Bedrin looking perfectly comfortable in the lead of the race. Dion Gauda will still have pressure from Slater. Then Al-Azadi. Then beaten, because of course, well, Zach Scholar looks like he's got problems with the car. Looks like something's wrong. Dorian Pan now going wheel to wheel with Tiago Rodriguez, and she's got him! Brilliant run from Dorian Pan. She's waited all race to make that move, and it's as sweet as a dandy. Lovely job from Dorian Pan. That was mighty. It looks like there's damage to Tiago Rodriguez's car. That's why Pan was able to make the move so strongly there. I think Tiago Rodriguez has got damage to his front wing, and that might be why Zach Scholar has dropped back. I wonder if he's got damage. Did they come together? There's a damaged front wing for Rodriguez and a slowing Zach Scholar. So this could change everything. Scholar's pulling off, I can tell you. Scholar's actually pulled off the road. I think he's got a puncture. He's got a puncture to his right rear. So Scholar is going to drop out of this race. That is disastrous for him. So Zach Scholar is cruising home with a puncture. Oh. Game over for Zach Scholar. Very unfortunate indeed for him. But Kiya Nakamura Berta just not able to get close enough to Nikita Bedrin. So contact between, we think, Tiago Rodriguez and Zach Scholar has ruined both of those races. Dion Gauda is going to come through for his first podium of the season in 3rd place ahead of Freddie Slater. Try as he might, Kiya Nakamura Berta has not been able to take on Nikita Bedrin. Just hasn't worked out in his favour at all. So it's going to be Nikita Bedrin who comes through for his 2nd win of the 2024 campaign, this time from a pole position. The PHM AIX team really needed that in F4, and it's great to see them bounce back in style here at Dubai Autodrome. Nikita Bedrin takes the victory in race 1 here at Dubai Autodrome, gets the job done in front of Kiya Nakamura Berta, and fantastic style. 3rd place for Dion Gauda. He gets his first podium in F4 UAE. Consistency continues for Freddie Slater and Keanu Al-Azari. They get top 5 finishes. Jack Beaton, great drive from him in P6, and from Dorian Pan, fighting drive in 7th. 8th place comes Tiago Rodriguez ahead of Stilt in 9th. 10th is Ye, 11th is Powell, 12th is Deligny. So Enzo Deligny and Alex Powell will start race 2 from the front row of the grid. Fascinating performances from the drivers then in F4 UAE. Some smart thinking on the last lap from a couple of drivers. And particularly for Alex Powell, he's able to charge from the back to 11th. He misses the points by 1 position, but crucially, he gets a front row starting grid position for race number 2. As out of the final turn, Zach Scular is going to drift over the final course. There is Zach Scular. Oh, bitter disappointment for Zach Scular. Well, he's had a brilliant drive, and it's all come to nothing, I'm afraid. So Zach Scular creeps home and puncture to the car. So all his fine efforts in this first race, he was as high as 5th at one point, have all come to nothing. Bitter disappointment for Zach Scular. He finishes the race, albeit down in 29th. The only 2 cars, well, the only other car that was behind him in the end was Sebastian Murray, who had an issue earlier in the race as well. Retirements, of course, Matteo Quintarelli, Rashid Al-Daheri and Deegan Fairclough at the first part of the race as they all came together on the start. But this man, Nikita Bedrin, is your race winner. Did a fabulous job and is able to run in fine fluidity at the front of the field. Kia Nakamura-Berta unable to deal with him on this occasion. And so the battles continue to be joined. But for the second time this year, Nikita Bedrin is a race winner. Now matches Keanu Al-Azari for race wins. And ironically enough, he also matches Freddie Slater for race victories, because they both have, they all have 2 wins apiece. Nakamura-Berta has 1. But now we've got a very interesting front row of the grid for the reverse grid. Pole position is going to go to Enzo Deligny, the Red Bull youngster, alongside Alex Powell. So that is going to be a fascinating second race later. But Nikita Bedrin has definitely held on in fine style. And a really exciting performance. Can we just point out, as Pinky Promise has on the stream, Alex Powell a spot off a point after starting in the back. Absolutely amazing run from the boy from Miami. He's done an absolutely terrific job. So there is your results. Nikita Bedrin taking the victory in front of Kia Nakamura-Berta and Dion Gauda getting his first podium finish. Freddie Slater, Keanu Al-Azari, Jack Beaton and Dorian Pain, Thiago Rodriguez, Gabriel Stilp and Enzo Ye. Let's have a look back over the highlights of the race, particularly this moment at the start. Rashid Al-Daheri, no power, bang! Deegan Fairclough has nowhere to go. Matteo Quintarelli collects him. And actually, to be fair, we're very lucky that nobody else got collected. So Bedrin able to make a good run. A good start for Dion Gauda, put him into 3rd position nice and early. Already some squabbles through the first couple of corners. Some drivers caught out. Others trying to make as good use of the situation as possible. Jovan David could have made a few decent places there had he not been held up by the car running wide in the middle of the gaggle. But a fabulous performance nonetheless, as the drivers are in pit lane now and they are celebrating in fine style. Nikita Bedrin taking the victory for PHM AIX. And then a pair of Mumbai Falcons on the podium with him, Kia Nakamura-Berta and Dion Gauda. Some great performances through that race, though. Very impressed, particularly with the likes of Dorian Pain, with Jack Beaton, with Gabriel Stilp, actually, who really went for it. Very unfortunate for Matteo Quintarelli and Rashid Al-Daheri, along with Deegan Fairclough. That brought out the safety car, and then obviously racing continued in fine style after that point. But I'll pause for the moment and give you a chance to watch these pictures of the highlights of the race. And we'll go straight to the podium, where we will welcome Dion Gauda, Kia Nakamura-Berta and Nikita Bedrin. The rookie sensation who won on his debut a few weeks ago continues to add silverware to his collection, but on the top spot, ladies and gentlemen, your race winner, Nikita Bedrin. A fabulous start to the weekend for PHM AIX Racing and a fabulous performance. Well, great to see the three drivers that we have in position. It's our pleasure to invite Mr. Gianfranco De Bellis, the president of Tartus Racing, who will present the trophies to our competitors on the podium. They have been fantastic over the course of the season, supplying some fantastic machinery for us. And so with our drivers ready to be presented the awards, we will point out that there are 2 trophies to go to one of our drivers onto the rostrum, to be fair, because we have a Rookie Cup winner as well as the overall race winner. And on this occasion, the Rookie Cup win has gone to Kian Nakamura-Berta, who has done a fantastic job. So we will hand the trophies out. In 3rd position, a fabulous performance for Mumbai Falcons Racing, Dion Gowda. And in 2nd position, our fabulous performance from Mumbai Falcons, Kian Nakamura-Berta. And for the race winner overall for PHM AIX, Nikita Bedrin. A fabulous 2nd win of the season, and also a victory for the Rookie Cup. That goes to our man in 2nd overall, Kian Nakamura-Berta. A massive thank you to Mr. Gianfranco De Bellis, the president of Tartus Racing. We will ask the drivers to pose for photographs after a fabulous opening race of the F4 UAE Championship weekend. Let's get them all together on the rostrum. 2 Mumbai Falcons and the race-winning PHM AIX driver, Nikita Bedrin. This is going to be a fabulous continuation of the championship. Neither of the 2 leading men in the championship on the top spots of the podium. So it's definitely going to be ultra competitive. Now the drivers get to celebrate in style. Well, they've decided not to on this occasion. They've obviously got a race to come later. So we are going to continue on with great race action. The Formula Regional Middle East Championship race is coming up next, but there will be more action from F4 UAE later on in race 2.
Behind me is a Rise-Spec Radical race car, and I'm going to put it to the test today.
But not
Start to the season with, for my money, 3 title contenders: Taylor Barnard, Teofil Nile, and championship leader Tuukka Tapanen. Martini Stenzorn is here for one more race weekend, so let's see how much of an impact he'll make in the title battle as we head into race 1. As we enter the 3rd weekend of the season, we switch to the Dubai Autodrome circuit in the heart of Motor City. It's a very different challenge for the drivers as the track celebrates 20 years of competition. So, who's who and how will they fare? At the top of the team standings is Race GP, with championship leaders Tukka Tapanen and Martinez Stenzorn still looking quick. But Zachary David will want to return to the podium this weekend, and Jessica Resquedo continues to show strong progress each round. PHM AIX have work to do to catch the leaders, in particular with Taylor Barnard having a tough outing last time. But he and teammates Tazanapol Ntafivazak, Liuruki and Brando Badua are quick when the opportunity is presented to them, so it could be a mini renaissance here in Dubai. Storming up from 5th to 3rd are Santalog, still in their maiden campaign in Formula Regional here in the Middle East. Teofil Nile is now up to speed and looking racy for more victories, but he now has 2 new teammates for the season, Noah Stromsted of Denmark and Jose Garcias of Mexico. The Pinnacle squad is still looking strong, thanks to the efforts of Mari Boya, but Alexander Abkasava has been quicker than many expected, Giovanni Mascio is very much improved from last year, and Finley Green is readapting to motorsport quite rapidly, so it's not just a one-man show. There's been a lot of head-scratching at the Mumbai Falcons, as the star prodigies Ugo Chukwu, James Wharton, Rafael Kamara and Arvid Lindblad have not exactly been singing from the hymn book of fortune, but the team has solid data and success on the Dubai Autodrome, so expect a turnaround imminently. Apparently, round 3 is the round where MP Motorsport will truly launch off the blocks. So for Nikhil Bora, Emo Fittipaldi Jr. and Bruno Del Pino, that would be more than a slight relief. They are joined from this weekend by British talent Isaac Braschi, who replaces Valerio Rinicella. XL Motorsport only took 2 weekends to grab points for the first time. So now that Noah Lyle and Yaroslav Veselaho have sorted out the early gremlins, it appears both drivers have the potential for more. With one pressure off comes another. How many points over the year can they now score? Meanwhile, Evans GP came so close to scoring they could almost taste the pain of it all. But clearly John Bennett and Costa Taparis have what it takes to get the job done. If only the issues coming into practice and qualifying can be ironed out, then you'll see the black and blue machines in fine form. We can only reiterate the progression that R&B Racing have made in relation to last season, as their speed is definitely better. Guy Ujia could well grab a point or 2 before season's end, and as for Wang Zhongwei, there's definitely more to do and to learn, but the team has the resolve to push for more. After the 2 races at Yas Marina, we now come to Dubai Autodrome, and the championship battle is alive and kicking. The man who leads Formula Regional Middle East is Tukka Tapanen from Finland of Race GP. Tukka, I'm not entirely sure anybody thought after 2 race weekends you would be leading with such a decent and comfortable margin. How are you finding it?
Yeah, it's been amazing so far. I think neither the team believed that we could be so strong here. I think they have done a really great job last winter to see what went wrong last year, and we were really ready for this season, and so far it's been amazing.
Now, in between the races, you had a little bit of time off. I hear that you went back to Maranello. You actually ended up with the kickoff over in Italy with a little bit of karting. Is it nice to go back to your roots?
Yeah, it was a bit difficult at the beginning because 1 year ago I did last time the karting, so it was a bit tough at the beginning, but then got better every time, and I think at the end I was also quick there.
So tell me, what exactly is life like for those who obviously dream of, being part of the Ferrari culture? You've now been living in Maranello for a year. What is the lifestyle like? What's it like being part of the Ferrari family?
It's a really good. They push you every day. They push you to do different things, which is a good, because sometimes when you do things by yourself, you don't want to do them, but they really push you, so you basically have to do, which is completely fine. And they support really much, and it's been an amazing first year. Now we are starting the second year, and I'm gonna do even more work this year, and obviously we need to get a good result to compete well, and yeah, we see how it goes this year.
And of course next year you're going to have a new member of the Ferrari family joining you, who's a 7-time world champion. I'm guessing you are as surprised at the news as everybody has been.
Yeah, it was completely shocked news. I was not expecting at all, but I mean, maybe we can learn something from him, and for sure also Charles can learn from him, because he's such a good driver.
So let's come back to the racing here in the Middle East. Obviously with that gap now, with that cushion, there's a little bit of security, but moving to the Dubai Autodrome, you had some great races here last year. How confident are you that you can extend the gap? How confident are you that the others are not quite going to be able to catch you?
Of course, it's a new category, so the things are different. We need to find a good setup also here, and a good solution to be quick as a team. We just finished the first session. At least it went quite well for the team. And yeah, I'm not thinking about championship. I just go race by race. I try to stay consistent all the time. To score points, it's important, and of course to get as much laps as possible for the European Championship.
I'll tell you another man in your team who isn't thinking about the championship, Martinius Stenzorn, who isn't obviously going to be here after this weekend. Has his urgency to win races and do whatever it takes to do that, how big a difficulty has that been for you, focusing across all 5 weekends? He obviously has a different agenda. Is there any tension? Is there any difficulties there?
Yeah, I mean, he has done 1 season in Freca already. Also, he was last year here. So he knows the trucks quite well. He is straight on it, and it's a good data for sure for me. Also, we had some good battles in Abu Dhabi, and it was nice to race with him. He can take some risks, and of course, it's a good to battle with him, and he's a good driver as well. So, as I say, the data is important in Formula, so I can get really good data from him and to improve myself.
We've learnt in the past that winning these championships is very much about staying in the top 5 as much as humanly possible. Is that really your focus now, your agenda? You know, the more times you can be in the top 5, the more likely it is that you can maintain the lead.
I mean, I don't think about the championship too much. I go race by race, and then I just try to score points, let's say. It's good to score always points, even you are not fighting maybe for the championship, but in my case, I'm fighting for it. So, I mean, podiums, wins, obviously they are super cool, but the points are also really important.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you all the best. We hope it's going to continue to just elevate and elevate more as the season goes. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Once more, unto the breach, dear friends. Once more, we battle and race here at the Formula Regional Middle East Championship as we continue on the journey, having come from coming from the Yas Marina circuit here into the Dubai Autodrome. It's going to be a really exciting battle now as we gear ourselves up ready for the 3rd round of the championship. And after the previous F4 UAE race, it's definitely gearing ourselves up for another exciting battle out on the course as we are in for another exciting encounter. Jake Sanson with you once again as we have plenty of excitement and drama ahead of us. Why? Because already there's been plenty in the Formula Regional Middle East Championship for 2024. We already have a 3-driver battle for the title as far as my money is concerned, and it's going to be between Tuukka Tapanen, Taylor Barnard and Teofil Nal. For those who are looking at the championship standings and going, hang on a minute, you've missed out Martinius Stenzorn. Well, no, I intentionally left him out of the title fight because he is 2nd in the points at the moment, yes, but this is due to be his final round at the circuit before he returns back home to Europe. Unless, of course, he decides to make a last-minute decision and think, you know what, I can win this championship, so I'm going to go for it. But the plan is for him to do only the first 3 races, so he will hopefully at the end of this particular round think, well, actually, I'll change my mind. But if that's not the case, then this could be the final 3 races of the campaign that we will see from him. It's going to be a tricky one for him, to be fair, actually. The Norwegian will be starting this race from 5th on the starting grid with 2 of his 3 title protagonists ahead of him on the start line. But this is a fascinating circuit, this one, the Dubai Autodrome, a very challenging race circuit. This is the 20th year of full-time competition. The circuit actually opened in October 2004 and has been magnificent ever since. It's probably one of the most underrated race circuits on the planet. Drivers love it, and it's kind of got a miniature nickname, the roller coaster. It is a fabulous race circuit and a wonderful part of the world as well, in downtown Motor City, in almost the heart of the Dubai city, certainly not too far away from the world's tallest building, the Burj Al Khalifa. And it is a fabulous race circuit, a fabulous city, and already building a strong heritage and strong history in the world of motorsport. The 21st century has definitely come alive for motor racing in the United Arab Emirates, and this is a brilliant race circuit to go to battle on. Taylor Barnard, who was looking so destitute and miserable yesterday after a very difficult run in time qualifying in the previous weekend. Here they had all sorts of mechanical difficulties, and they looked like they came back yesterday. He had an engine failure in practice, and he was quite open and honest with me and said, you know what, it's looking like it's going to be a miserable weekend. We're not going to be anywhere near competitive as we deserve to be, and I'm frightened that I've already lost the championship. Wakes up this morning, gets into the car, boom, pole position. That's Taylor Barnard all over. He always keeps you guessing, and he always keeps you entertained. So suddenly, this weekend has come back to Taylor Barnard, but he's got to be hoping he's got enough room in that cockpit for a lucky rabbit's foot, because they do not want the problems that emerged in Yas Marina 2 weeks ago to come back. Alongside him on the front row of the grid, yep, that is a Mumbai Falcon. It's Rafael Camara. They have bounced back into contention once again, and with their most experienced driver, Rafael Camara, they are right back to prominence. And the Brazilian driver is an exceptional talent. He really is one to watch. He's had an awful lot of support over the last couple of seasons. He's part of the Ferrari Driver Academy. He's made good friends with Felipe Massa, the former Ferrari driver in Formula One. And he has so much support from back home in Brazil. He's definitely a potential future Grand Prix driver in the making. Third on the grid, though, is the man who leads this championship, just tucked up behind Taylor Barnard, and that is Tuukka Tapanen, the Finnish driver, the Tiger, as he is known back home in Scandinavia. And what an opportunity this is for him and the Race GP team, who were not expecting to be so strong out of the blocks. You heard from him in our pre-show build-up. And a fabulous run from Tapanen. There's so many fans for him at the moment, and he's so exciting as a prospect for the sport. It's been great to hear how he's been enjoying himself in between races. He went back to Maranello for what they call the kickoff, and jumped himself back into a kart for the first time in almost a year. I'm sure that didn't take him long at all to be competitive. Alongside him on the grid is Mari Boya, the man who's been racing in Formula 3 and Euro Cup 3 over the course of 2023, has returned to Formula Regional, was a race winner last year on this very circuit, so he knows how to win on this track. Watch out for him. He could well bank another victory before the season's end. Martinius Stenzon, we talked about him. He's lining up 5th on the grid for this one, alongside the American ace Ugo Chukwu, who is part of the McLaren Young Driver program. He's there in his Mumbai Falcon in 6th on the starting grid. Brando Badua is back to his best as well, 7th on the starting grid for him, the Italian driver who is the son of the former Ferrari F1 test driver Luca Badua, who is here. And then Tzanopol Intrafivazak, the PHM AIX teammate, he is there in 8th position on the starting grid. The team looking so much stronger here in Dubai. 9th position on the grid for Nikhil Bora and his teammate Bruno Del Pino. MP Motorsport are finally getting back to what they're good at, running at the sharp end of the field and looking for more exciting battles to come. It's going to be a really interesting situation for all of the competition. There's only a couple of grid penalties that are worth talking about that were handed out. Luruki was given a 5-place grid penalty from race 1 at round 2, and also a 3-place grid penalty going the way of the number 99 car. That is Giovanni Mascio, again for a race 1 incident at round 2. So we go on to the formation lap, and let's talk you through the starting grid in full. It's Taylor Barnard and Rafael Camara on the front row of the starting grid, then Tuukka Tapanen and Mari Boya, Martinius Stenzon and Ugo Chukwu, from Brando Badua and Tzanopol Intrafivazak. Nikhil Bora is alongside Bruno Del Pino. James Wharton lines up 11th on the grid. Difficult qualifying for him alongside the Frenchman Théophile Nal for Santalok Racing, one of the championship contenders and very much struggling on this occasion. Zachary David looking for another podium in 13th on the grid. His teammate Jesse Kadashkedo is alongside him. Then for the Evans GP team, it is Costa Taparis alongside the new boy Noah Stromsted of Denmark, who has come into the Santalok Racing team for the rest of the season. Noah Lyle, the Australian, is 17th on the starting grid for XL Motorsport. He's alongside Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., who lines up 18th on the starting grid for MP Motorsport. 19th on the grid is another new driver, that is the Mexican Jose Garfias, who was racing in Euro Cup 3 last year. He has come into the Santalok Racing team, and he is lining up alongside a very fed up and very irritated Arvid Lindblad, the Red Bull Junior driver. I've never seen him looking so annoyed. He's having a very difficult time of it in terms of one-lap pace, and it looks like it's just continuing here at Dubai Autodrome. 21st on the grid is the other new face, that is Isaac Barashi, who has come into the MP Motorsport team replacing Valerio Menicella. And then we have John Bennett for the Evans GP team. He's struggled in qualifying, manages only to line up 22nd on the grid. Then Luruki, the Chinese driver, lines up 23rd on the grid alongside Alexander Abkasava, the young Kazakhstani driver. He lines up there for Pinnacle in 24th. Then Yaroslav Bezalaho, the Ukrainian driver. He is going to be on the grid for XL in 25th. Gao Yuchia, the Chinese driver, lines up 26th on the grid, just in front of Giovanni Mascio, who obviously takes that grid penalty and lines up 27th on the grid. And then 28th and last is Wang Shengwei, the Chinese driver, who will put himself on the outside of the 14th row of the grid. So the 28 cars and drivers ready in position. And for Taylor Barnard, who probably thought yesterday that his chances of winning the championship are long gone, the guys at PHM AIX have done an amazing amount of homework overnight. They did a lot of work, basically taking the cars completely to pieces, putting them back together again, figuring out where the problems were, and rebooting. And it really does show you the resurgence and the resolve of PHM. They've completely transformed since the merger of AIX Investment Group. They've come in, they want to win, they are determined, they're passionate, they want to win races together, and there just seems to be a complete injection of enthusiasm and excitement in this operation for the 2024 season and beyond. I think no matter what championship you're going to be watching from PHM AIX this year, whether it be an F2, F3, Formula Regional, F4, these guys are going to be bombastic, they're going to be very hard-working, and they're going to be exceptionally exciting to watch. And Taylor Barnard, very much the keyhole of that at the beginning of their season in 2024, hoping to try and get some of that deficit back from Tuukka Tarpanen. Of course, at this point in proceedings, after the difficulties, there is a bit of a deficit. He's got to find 31 points over Tuukka Tarpanen over the course of the season. But, having said that, if he beats Tuukka Tarpanen in every race this year, by coming home first with Tarpanen in second, he will win the championship. So there's still plenty to do. You've got to remember that there's still 9 races remaining and 25 points per race. So you don't need to be an idiot to do the math to know that this championship is still very wide open indeed. There's still 225 points left on the table. So it could still go anybody's way. The last couple of cars getting themselves into position. Wang Shongwei just positioning himself ready for a strong charge forward, and we are ready to see what this battle will give us. Taylor Barnard, Rafael Kamara, Tuukka Tarpanen, Mari Boya, Martini Stenzon, Ugo Chukwu, Brandon Badua, Dzanapol Ninthafivazak, Nikhil Bora, and Bruno Del Pino ready in position. The green flag flies at the back of the grid. Who's going to get to the first corner first? Will it be Taylor Barnard? Will it be Rafael Kamara? Could somebody else make a launch? Let's race to Dubai on a drone. A good start from Tuukka Tarpanen, not the best of starts from Kamara by the look of it. So Tarpanen's going to come through to second place past the Brazilian. Marty Boyer getting a good run as well. And they're going to be side by side. Tarpanen's going to come in on the far side for Taylor Barnard. Can he take the lead? Round the outside. He's going for it. They're going to be side by side. Barnard will not let him have it. It's going to be Tarpanen that has to surrender it. So Barnard gets through into the lead. Couple of drivers running wide already as they work their way through the first couple of corners of this sector. But it's Taylor Barnard versus Tuukka Tarpanen. And Barnard has held on in front of the fin. Terrific stuff from Barnard, feisty and fighting as you like. Kamara has to slip all the way down to 4th position, unfortunately, behind the Spaniard Marty Boyer. So as they work their way through the first couple of corners, looks like Brandon Badua going a little bit wide, but out in front, Barnard and Tarpanen have renewed their battle, and it's Taylor Barnard from Tuukka Tarpanen. He holds it at the moment as he squirts his way onto the back straight, and a little bit of a run wide from one of the Mumbai Falcons in the background. But Tarpanen and Barnard are going to go to battle. Excellent stuff. What an opening start to this race. Barnard trying to shake off Tarpanen. He's going for it again. Why not? If he's got the car underneath him to go for it, he may as well challenge Taylor Barnard. And he's got a good exit off the turn. He's still going to push him to every inch he's got. Barnard having to run over the curves. Now he's got to park the car in the middle of the road. He cannot give Tarpanen any space. He's got to park it in the middle of the apex. Get across the road. Make sure that Tarpanen can't get the switcheroo. Nicely handled from Barnard. But Tarpanen the Tiger is coming straight back at him. Here he goes. Tuukka the Tiger looking for the move. Barnard is going to be married to the inside line. What an opening lap this is. Tarpanen's going to go the long way round. Can he hold it? No. Barnard's going to hold the inside line. Tarpanen will then come back on the switch, hoping to go slow in, fast out. But Barnard holds him again. Excellent work from the two of them. Marty Boyer still there in 3rd position. Rafael Kamara tucking in behind in 4th place as well. And in 5th, that is Martini Stenzon. This is already an electrifying start to this race as Barnard leads Tarpanen, Boyer, Kamara and Stenzon. Out of the final turn, there's already a couple of battles. A couple of drivers going a bit wide. Barnard trying to shake off Tarpanen from the toe. In 6th position, that is Nikhil Bora. He's made a terrific start for MP. Then it's Ugo Chukwu, Badua, Interfivazak, Wharton, Niall, Del Pino, David, Lyle, Toparis and Stromstead. Arvid Lindblad's made up some places as Teofil Niall gets the move on the inside of James Wharton. That's for P10 and the final point, as well as the reverse grid pole. Costa Tabares battling away with Noah Stromstead, the new boy, the Danish driver for Santalon. Arvid Lindblad is the one behind him in the Red Bull colours. Then Garfias, Bennett, Fittipaldi Jr., Karashkedo. Then we've got in behind Ricky Liu, and then Abkasava, Barashi, Gao, Mashio, Vesalaho and Wang. What a start. Absolutely brilliant opening lap to the race, and up in the air goes Martini Stenzon as he goes on the curb. He would have felt that when he came back to land. So Barnard and Tarpanen. Great battle on the opening lap. Now they've got to settle in. Tarpanen's still got to make sure he's got something. Kamara has a look at Boyer. That was brave. Just to try and have a look to see maybe if Marty Boyer was vulnerable. Also got to remind the Spaniard that he's there. He does not want to let him get away. But Marty Boyer hoping to bank some more points on the board for Pinnacle. Good opener to this race so far. Marty Boyer, of course, a race winner on the Dubai Autodrome in last year's Formula Regional Middle East Championship. Last year was pretty much one-way traffic for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who, of course, races in Formula 2 this year, and he's already being talked about as a future replacement for Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes. That's where he was able to build his legacy, here in Dubai and down the road in Yas Marina, as well as, of course, the Kuwait Motor Town circuit last year, where he was so strong. This is going to be an intense battle for Mumbai Falcons to get themselves back on the podium, never mind to go for the win, because Rafael Kamara and Marty Boyer know each other's tricks of old, but it's not going to be easy to pick out a winner between the two of them. Stenzon in 5th. Bora is still there in 6th position. 7th place, Bugachukwu, not quite able to match Bora on lap pace at the moment. Then the 2 PHM AIX cars of the Italian Brando Badua and the Thai starters Annabelle and the Vubazak. Still some battles in the mid-pack. Perfectly clean start, I have to say. We didn't have the safety car appearing in the first 2 laps, which is always a good sign. Hopefully we're just going to get a rip-roaring race rather than modus interruptus. So there is Taparis, still trying to take on the Santalok car of Jose Garfias in front. And that's actually John Bennett trying to have a go at Jose Garfias. My apologies. Taparis is a little further up the road, still dueling with the Australian driver Noah Lyle, who of course races under a British licence, but is Aussie through and through. Onto the back straight. Barnard, Tarpanen, Boyer, Kamada, Stenzon, Bora, Bugachukwu. Then Badua in the Fubazaka Nile ahead of James Wharton, the Australian, just outside the points. Then Bruno Delpino. It's so close now in this competition. If you want to be fast, you've got to be flawless. Just to give you an indication of that, from 1st to 14th in qualifying, less than a second covered them. And that's the battle between Taparis and Lyle. Taparis is going to go the long way round. Lyle's not going to leave him a lot of room, and the back end kicks out on the XL. And that's enough for Costa Taparis to get the job done. Thanks, mate, I'm off. So Costa Taparis gets the move, and that's Arvid Lindblad getting through. Thanks, mate, I'm going to have this position as well. So Arvid Lindblad's determined stance is very clear. He wants to get into 10th position and pick himself a reverse grid pole again, like he did in Yas Marina. Here comes Noah Lyle, battling for the move on the inside of Arvid Lindblad. Not going to happen. Arvid Lindblad is no slouch, wasn't born yesterday. He's going to keep himself in the position once more. So the 2 new drivers at Santalok are going together. That's Noah Stromsted of Denmark and Jose Garfias of Mexico. They obviously replace Matteo De Palo. And on the inside line, I was in the middle of a point, but Liuraki is too busy having a great duel with John Bennett. Had to interrupt myself. I will now come back to say what I was going to say, because it was Pedro Claro and Matteo De Palo at Santalok. Now, of course, it's Garfias and Stromsted. Still side by side, these two. Liu still trying to take on John Bennett. Bennett absolutely resolute. You're not getting through. And so Liuraki goes wide, but Liuraki still commits and is actually able to get ahead. So that'll be up for a debate. Interesting to see. Whoa, big power slide in the background from Alexander Kasava. The back end of the Pinnacle almost overtaking the front before he even had any warning about what was going to happen as a result. So that got very messy as Jessica Esqueda and Giovanni Mascio are trying to get back into the hunt. Meanwhile, Barnard, Tarpanen, Boyer and Kamada. No change in the top 4. Stenzon getting a little bit closer to them. And Bugachukwu starting to put some pressure on Nikhil Bora now for P6. The 2 PHM AIX teammates almost get into the wars. Badua and Vubazak, and up the inside, that is the move from Zachary David. He takes on the MP of Bruno Delpino. So he overtakes the Euro Cup 3 rookie champion last year. So Zachary David, who fought his way to a podium in round 1 of the championship. The young man from Malta, who of course also has his roots in Asia. Doing an absolutely terrific job so far. Still, the duel continues on. But now there are more problems for Bruno Delpino in the shape of the Australian driver Costa Taparis. So Taparis has a bit of a look. Try and take on Bruno Delpino. James Wharton looking rather humdrum, unfortunately, in 11th place. Not quite able to match the pace of the top 10. And Arvid Lindblad trying to work his way further forward. No safety cars. A few drivers probably would have been banking on them in race 1. But nothing. Everybody's as clean as a whistle right now. Great to see that the driving standards continue to elevate. And in Formula Regional Middle East, it's one of the most competitive championship fields we've had in a long time. Down to the braking zone. Heavy braking down the crest into that very tight apex. You carry a lot of speed through there, though. And further back, we've got Alex Abkasaba dueling with John Bennett into the first corner. Abkasaba just trying to keep the pinnacle pointing in a straight line. It can get very loose around here. It's a very sandy circuit, this one. Don't forget, we're right in the heart of Dubai, in downtown Motor City. It's not too far away from the desert dunes, so a few gusts of wind in the wrong direction, and all of a sudden you've got sand on the circuit. Taylor Barnard and Duke Tappinen pulling clear of the rest of the field. Marty Boyer just not able to match their pace at the moment. But Taylor Barnard will never have been more determined to beat Tappinen after the heartache and misery of round 2 and his absolute dejection after practice yesterday when he blew an engine. He must have thought the championship was over. Now, suddenly, he's been galvanised into thinking, do you know what? I can win this race. I can win this championship. Never say die, never say never. I'm going for it. So this is, all of a sudden, a fabulous run. So Barnard trying to get well clear of Tappinen. There is Boyer versus Camara. Spain versus Brazil. Pinnacle versus Mumbai Falcons. So some good racecraft. Hoping for a little bit more of a duel as they come off the turn. Rafael Camara hoping to get a decent run off the corner. And the hope that he's just going to continue this run down the straight into the final hairpin. Passing the Radisson Blue and then onto the main straight. Parallel to the main shopping precinct in Motor City. When you walk down that main street and you hear those race cars going past, honestly, if you feel like a kid in a candy store, it's where you're meant to be. Camara has another look at Boyer. Not close enough to do the deed. Has to wait a little moment as he continues to charge his way forward. Tappinen looking a little bit racy behind Barnard again. And Camara looking like he's going to threaten Marty Boyer's position on the podium very soon. You can't afford to rush these things. 17 minutes and 40. So still, there's a lot to do and a lot to debate on this circuit. But Tappinen is staying close enough to Barnard that he's going to be a genuine threat. And this is what Taylor Barnard doesn't want. He really can't afford to have Tucker the Tiger on his toes, pushing him all the way. This is going to be fascinating down the back straight. Barnard, one eye in front of him, one eye on the mirrors. And Tucker the Tiger is the kind of driver who, if he's got a car underneath him, he's confident he'll have a think about the lead. He has a little aspect move. Camara's going to go for it on the inside of Marty Boyer. He's got to commit. They bang wheels and Marty Boyer drifts wide. Camara gets the place. Well, that was absolutely no-nonsense, brutal from Rafael Camara. And now Marty Boyer's going to try and fend off from Martinius Stenzorn. Boyer is not going to be happy in the way that shaped up. But Rafael Camara clearly deciding he'd had enough of steering at the rear wing of Marty Boyer. Stenzorn's going to try and commit here. Boyer completely moves across to the inside white line. Stenzorn's trying to second guess where he's going. I have to say, in this field, rather a lot of switching from one side of the circuit to the other. We saw that in F4, of course, as well. It's one thing to try and block an overtaking move, but you've got to be very careful how far over that limit you go. Tappinen still sticking to Taylor Barnard's rear wing like glue. Boyer trying to shake off Stenzorn. Pulling out of the draft deliberately, but Stenzorn's got a fast car underneath him, and if Boyer's car is unsettled after the contact, meanwhile Tappinen having a go Barnard round the outside of turn 1. Nice try, but Taylor Barnard is not going to be caught half asleep today, but it is going to set up another run. Tappinen's got a chance here. Barnard's got to stay strong. He's got to stay hungry. Tappinen could have him at a moment's notice. Barnard's going to get the car across. Nicely handled. So Tappinen still really edging an opportunity. As meanwhile, further back, there's still battles going on further down the field. But Barnard hanging on in front of Tappinen. And there's Camara, now comfortable in third. Boyer has got the car back together again in front of Stenzorn. But I'd be very interested to see that move again from Rafael Camara later on, because that was incredibly forceful from the Brazilian. move up into third position. And now Stenzorn could try a trick or two on Marty Boyer. Surely he's not going to go for the slingshot. I wouldn't have put him past the Norwegian. Once he's decided he's going for it, he's going for it. Let's see the tyre lines that are left when he gets on the power. Fractionally earlier than Marty Boyer. He leaves 2 lines of rubber down on the race circuit as he gets on the power and the wheels just spin. And the carcass of the tyre threatens to come up over the top of the rubber. Meanwhile, Nikhil Bora is a cork in the bottle. Ogachukwu and Badua are very close behind him. So there's a couple of potential battles that are raging. Here comes the move from Ogachukwu. He's taking on Bora. Watch for Badua round the outside. Badua had to think about it. Not quite able to get the traction down, unfortunately. Taz in the Vivazak now has a chance. So watch Turn through the turn. Known in every team he's raced in as Turn. It's just quicker to say than Taz and Tazanapol, I guess. Off the turn. And so on to the main straight once again. Taz in the Vivazak having a size up of Brandon Badua, while Badua thinks about Ogachukwu, while Ogachukwu gets frustrated, sat behind Nikhil Bora. Stalemate in a lot of these battles. Lindblad, they're definitely getting closer to Del Pino and Tabares. But it's very much even Stevens in these battles. The problem is dirty air is still a factor in these cars. You've got to be very brave if you're going to go for these moves. Now, there is Gaujugia, who finds himself in front of Jesse Carrasquedo. So what's happened to the Mexican? Carrasquedo finds himself all the way down at the back. Not entirely sure what happened there, but certainly that's not where we're used to seeing Jesse Carrasquedo. Whoops! Kamara goes right off the race circuit. Manages to get it back together again, but you've got to be careful when you're flirting with those track limits, especially if you manage to gain time from doing so. If you go off the circuit, that's one thing. If you keep your foot in, well, that's where you're going to get a benefit that you shouldn't have, ultimately. I think there's a problem developing for Yaroslav Bezalaho. The XL driver's car looks a little bit out of sorts as it goes through. I've got the benefit of a few different angles to look at, which gives me that little bit of extra information. But certainly it's stalemate at the moment between Bora, Ogachukwu and Badua. Ogachukwu looking for that line. He's just unable. And look at that, you can see a few spots of rain now. This is a potential game changer. We're not expecting rain to be too heavy. I spoke to a couple of the locals and they said it's probably not going to be very heavy if it breaks. But if it breaks in Dubai, it can get very heavy here very quickly. Partially because of how rare rain is, but there's this fabulous system called cloud seeding, where essentially you fire salt and iodine crystals into the atmosphere and it connects. The chemical reaction produces rain, and it's actually increased the country's rainfall by 30 to 35%. Yes, that was my best Michael Fish impression. I'll get back to talking about racing cars, but there is a relevance, because if it does rain, then all of a sudden these guys are going to go into completely unfamiliar territory. All the track time they've done so far on this circuit, especially the rookies, has been in dry conditions. If it starts raining in the middle of the race, things are going to go absolutely haywire. So now we've got a situation for Ugo Ogachukwu. He really desperately feels like he can get the move here on Nikhil Bora and get well clear. If he can't actually make the move, then it doesn't make a difference. That fabulous plain silver helmet, very much the homage to the Andretti's. And there is the 15 of Brandon Badua, running in behind Ogachukwu, and then Taz in the Vivazak behind him is the Santalok of Teofil Nal. Definitely not on the same sort of upward trend that we saw from him at Yas Marina. He's come crashing back to earth with a thud, has the Frenchman. But don't forget, he's still got plenty of talent. And 10th position will give him a reverse grid pole for the later race this afternoon. So I was going to say tomorrow, but tomorrow's race 3. This afternoon is race 2. Carpenter's still with Barnard, and still those spots of water on the lens. That's not come from the cars, that's come from the sky. So it's touch and go as to whether those clouds are actually going to turn into anything dodgy for the drivers here in Dubai. Go up the camber of that hairpin. It is a lot more intense, that hairpin, than a lot of people give you credit for. You don't really get to see it much. I've done a few laps on this circuit as a passenger in the past. And I tell you what, this place really doesn't do justice to actually being here and taking a lap or two of the circuit for yourself. Then you really get the true indication of the uphill and down dale, the peaks and troughs and the rising of the crests and elevations of this circuit. It's very underrated. I almost kind of felt that during COVID-19 this place would have held a good Formula One race. Here we go. This is Ugachukwu taking on Nikhil Bora. He's got a good run off the turn, and he's absolutely run rings around him on the far side. But Bora has hoped that Ugachukwu is going to make the mistake, and that's exactly what's happened. He's committed. Ugachukwu's trying to squeeze him, hold him back. No, you don't, says Nikhil Bora. Try another trick. I'm going for this. And Bora is going to have to try something else now to try and take on Ugachukwu. Can Ugachukwu run the inside line and hold that gauntlet? He does for the moment. But there is increased droplets of water on the camera lens. Maybe it's starting to get a little heavy out there. But fair play to Ugachukwu. That was a bold move on the Indian Nikhil Bora, and he's managed to make it work. Fierce driving from Ugachukwu. That's why McLaren favour him. He was always a fabulous competitor in the karting world. Did a great job in F4 last year, now stepping up to Formula Regional. Here comes Pranav Madoa. He's now going to get his run on Nikhil Bora. Don't tell me he's going to get both of them! He very nearly did. And he manages to complete the move on Nikhil Bora. So that was very nicely handled. He made it look as though he was going to go for two, but he had one in mind all along. Bit of a twitch from both Bora and Interfumazak. You can see there, look, spots of rain are elevating. Look at how close Tarpanen's got to Barnard now. Did Barnard make a mistake? He's the first one on the scene if it is starting to get wet out there. So Tarpanen goes alongside again. He's never going to make that overtaking move, but once more he goes slow in, fast out. If he can get a good exit off these two right-handers, then the victory could still be on for Tuka Tarpanen. And Tuka the Tiger is trying to get his run off the final corner. He's got an excellent run off the turn, and Barnard's going to be running scared down the main straight. Surely Tuka Tarpanen's going to have his best shot at getting past Taylor Barnard now. Side by side, Barnard, Tarpanen. Britain versus Finland, PHM AIX versus Race GP, and Tarpanen is squeezed in turn one. He can't get the move, tries to get the switcheroo off the turn, the faster line. Barnard's having to defend. Tuka the Tiger is taking on Taylor Barnard, the British Bulldog. Through they come. And still, the Bulldog fends off the Tiger. Barnard doing a great job. Tuka Tarpanen likewise. They are absolutely the equal of the other. Both men have Formula One written all over them. Tuka Tarpanen has to come back and try again. Taylor Barnard's held him off for long enough. And Taylor Barnard knows if he gets beaten by Tuka Tarpanen at this stage of the season, the psychological upswing for the Finn is devastating. He's got to beat him to re-establish some order. Now to the braking zone again. So far, so good for Barnard ahead of Tarpanen, then Kamara, then Boyer, then Stenzorn. Long gap back to Ugachukwu. Took him a long time to get through past Bora. And not only has Badua got through, so too has Interfumazak. So Bora's now down to 9th. And the reverse grid pole is still with Teofil Nal, unless James Wharton unlocks the move. A big launch, but the Aussie can't get there. And watch out, here comes Zachary David. Zachary David wants to take reverse grid pole. Now there's 4 of them battling for it. Here comes Bruno Del Pino, and watch for Taparis. And in the background, you've got Lindblad. They all want reverse grid pole. They all feel they've got a claim to it. And look at the water. Look at the drops of rain that are coming down on the circuit now. It's every man for himself. Niall holds on. Wharton's got to defend here from Zach David. He hugs the inside line. David's got to go long and switch back to the inside. Wharton's there to cover it. Del Pino holding on very tightly from Taparis and Lindblad. Stalemate once again, but it's definitely raining now here in Dubai. It's not heavy, but it's enough to be psychological. So still the duel continues. Drivers are having a very tough time of it to try and duel away for these final points positions, but crucially also for the reverse grid pole for race 2. Only the top 10 get reversed, and that man, Teofil Nal, at the head of the pack, is in position to do it. Lindblad makes the launch on Taparis. He's going to come from a long way back. Taparis very nearly bangs wheels with Bruno Del Pino. So Lindblad has to hang back. Try again. Taparis going the long way round on Del Pino. So Del Pino in the orange and black MP Motorsport with the blue and black machine of Costa Taparis. Then the Red Bull colours of Arvid Lindblad. And right behind him, there is a strong offensive now from Noah Lyle, the Australian. Lindblad attacks. Taparis goes wide. He's not able to get the move. Lyle is now going to have a hunt on the inside of Arvid Lindblad. Can he go for the inside line? They're going to be very close as they come off the turn. and they bang wheels. They've locked together, and Lyle and Lindblad go off the road. Lindblad tries to return himself back in front of Noah Lyle. What are you doing? We've just ruined our race now. Arvid Lindblad will be spitting feathers. Up to the inside. He's going to try and establish himself back on Noah Lyle. You've just ruined any chance I might have had of scoring points in race 1 or 2. So now I'm going to ensure you're never getting past me. No chance. Not going to happen. Lindblad runs deep. Watch out for Noah Stromsted as well behind these two. Stromsted can actually get past both of them if he keeps himself sharp-witted. Lyle gets back on the inside of Lindblad again. But Lindblad will have the inside for the left-hander they're approaching. Is it going to be enough? Oh my goodness, Lyle's going to beat it to it. Noah Lyle got a better run off the turn and he beats Lindblad to the corner anyway. And here comes Stromsted. I wonder if Lindblad's carrying damage. Stromsted is going to go high side on the curbs. Nearly slides off the road. Lindblad is having a nightmare out there. So now Stromsted's got to try and hang back. And now around the outside comes Liuruki. Liuruki absolutely hammers it home. Nothing Stromsted could do about it. So Liuruki is now the next one to take on Lindblad. Terrific racing everywhere you look in Formula Regional Middle East. Still the battles are raging. And now up the inside, Liuruki trying to shake off Stromsted again. Stromsted can't get the run on Arvid Lindblad, and he can't get back on terms with Liu. So it's Lindblad, Liu, Stromsted. Great racing, but it's not where Arvid Lindblad wants to be at all. He didn't want to be in the race for 16th position. He wanted to be in the race for the victory. So through they come again. Just trying to sort themselves out without incident, without too much drama. We've only got a handful of minutes left of this race. So at the end of this lap, I think we're only going to get one more before we get the final lap. Arvid Lindblad has been looking so crestfallen since he came into Formula Regional Middle East. Of course, he's going to be racing in Formula 3 this year. All the advice I would give him is look at what happened with Oliver Behrman. He came and did a couple of rounds in Formula Regional, couldn't get on with the car at all, but it was all about prep for F3. He went straight into F3 and he was on the pace. So even if he's not going to be competitive here, that doesn't mean he won't be sensational in F3 later in the year. Back to the front. Barnard versus Tarpanen, take 3. They duelled on the opening lap. They duelled a few laps ago. Looks like there's time for one more brawl. Last year we had the fantastic duel at Dubai Autodrome Race 1 between Gabriele Mini and Dini Beganovic. They're now both in F3. These two are looking to upstage them. We've still got at least 2 more laps to go, plus the additional lap by the look of it. They crossed the line with 2:24 on the clock, so I would do the math and say there's 3 laps to go. So Tuka the Tiger, once again, having to have the patience of a saint sat behind Taylor Barnard. He's going to go at him. Here they come again. And there is once again Rafael Kamara having scarpered well clear of Marty Boyer. He's staying in this just in case there's fisticuffs between these two. He's actually gaping on them. So Rafael Kamara might actually be in for the win here, especially if those two get feisty with each other. So this is absolutely sensational. The top 3 have got well clear of Boyer and Stenzorn. Now we're going to have a look at a replay. This is how Kamara did the deed on Boyer. Brutal, absolutely assertive. No, Mari, I'm getting through. And elsewhere, this is the move from Ugachukwu on Nikhil Bora. Watch this. Beautiful. Yes, he got it wrong on the exit, but he was assertive enough on the retaliation. And there wasn't really much Nikhil Bora could do about it. Ugachukwu absolutely annihilating him on the way through the next S's. So tough, so brutal. And here's the move from Brandon Badua to get the run on Nikhil Bora. That was brave, really brave from the Italian. Excellent work. And James Wharton so nearly putting himself out of the race there with Teofil Nall. Just about left each other enough space. And that's how the melee began for the pole position in the reverse grid race. Now here comes Tarpanen. The gap has actually opened up a little bit between Barnard and Tarpanen. This is good news for Taylor Barnard. He goes into what I think is the penultimate lap. So this is going to be a very calculated duel. But this is going to be a really exciting run for Taylor Barnard now if he can get this victory nailed, because that galvanises him back into a race-winning position. And for PHM AIX, that gives them a really strong start. They took a win in the F4 UAE race earlier on with Nikita Bedrin. Now they get to do so potentially with Taylor Barnard in Formula Regional Middle East. So what a start for PHM AIX. Everybody down there is going to be absolutely delirious. I was talking to a few members of the team yesterday, including the former IndyCar driver Mikel Aloshin, who is racing with them in this is. Oh, we've got a car stopped out on the circuit. It's one of the Mumbai Falcons. It's James Wharton. James Wharton has stopped out on track. So James Wharton, that's at turn 1. So James Wharton's had a problem. Now, is that mechanical or was there some contact? Because he's abandoned the car on the edge of the circuit. Now, that could be yellow flags. That could be covered by yellows. I'm not sure that's going to need a safety car because he's pulled it well clear of the circuit. He's managed to extricate himself pretty quickly. So I'm hoping that that's going to be covered with yellows. I'm hoping that's not going to be safety car. Barnard still struggling to get the car turned in. So Tukka the Tiger could have one more shot at him. But Taylor Barnard is pushing that car to within an inch of his life. The PHM AIX squad, so dependent but also so trusting in Taylor Barnard. They know this kid has got the talent. They know this kid has got the skills. He's not a reserve driver in Formula E with Neo McLaren for nothing. The boy is honestly one of the rawest, purest talents in single-seater racing on the climb to Grand Prix. And there's so many people across Britain who want him to get there. Last lap begins, and this will be very telling of his talent. Can he hold on in front of Tukka Tarpanen and Rafael Kamara, both members of the Ferrari Driver Academy? Taylor Barnard really deserves to be in a race driver academy, in my opinion. If you're watching Williams, if you're watching McLaren, if you're watching Aston Martin, pick this boy up before somebody else does. Taylor Barnard. Excellent execution of these S's for the moment. Tukka the Tiger, still keeping himself present and correct. Still no updates as to what happened to James Wharton, but there is the confirmation. We're on the last lap. So it really is now or never for Tukka Tarpanen. If he wants to get the win away from Taylor Barnard, he's going to have to dig deep and deliver something special. The Bulldog versus the Tiger. Barnard versus Tarpanen. PHM AIX versus Race GP. Britain versus Finland. Down the back straight. Rafael Kamara still doing well in third to keep with them as close as possible. And then Boyer and Stenzorn at stalemate at the moment. So still they race for supremacy, but it isn't going to change between Boyer and Stenzorn. He's got enough of a gap over the Norwegian. Fourth position will be his. And in 10th position is still going to be Théophile Nals, so expect the Frenchman to be in reverse grid pole. But this is an important race for Taylor Barnard to finish up. Tukka Tarpanen is still coming at him. It's not done yet. There's still a few crucial corners, and Tarpanen feels he's got a good car underneath him. He's got to try and push Taylor Barnard into the mistake. Down to the braking zone. Taylor Barnard's whip won't crack. Can Tukka Tarpanen pull something out of the bag? Final two corners through the right. Down the drop. Surely Taylor Barnard isn't going to mess this up now. He comes out of the final turn. He's glued to the road like a slot car out of the final turn, and it's Taylor Barnard that gets the victory in fine style. Brilliant work from Taylor Barnard. Tukka Tarpanen in second. Third is Rafael Kamara. Brilliant racing and a safety car free race. Excellent stuff. Boyer in fourth, Stenzorn in fifth, from Ugachukwu, Branabadoa to Zanapol in the Verbazak, ninth for Nikhil Bora, and in P10 and the reverse grid pole is the Frenchman Théophile Nals for Santalok Racing, who could turn this into his second win of the season. But for Taylor Barnard, it is a very important victory. It is win number 3 of this season. He becomes the most winning driver of the Formula Regional Middle East Championship again. 3 wins to Tarpanen's 2 and Théophile Nals 1, along with Arvid Lindblad, who also has a win from the opening round, as the last few stragglers come home. But Taylor Barnard becomes the most decorated driver of the season in terms of race victories. And it's his 4th podium of the year as well. Identical to Tukka Tarpanen, who also has 4 podium finishes. 2 seconds and 2 firsts. He still leads the championship, Tukka Tapanen, but now the gap has come down from 31 points to 24. That's a big scalp for Taylor Barnard. 1 DNF for Tapanen and a victory for Barnard now, and it's back in his hands. Such an important race to win for Taylor Barnard. He needed to hold everything at bay. He needed to keep himself strong. He needed to be mentally tough. He needed to make sure that Tapanen wasn't going to make him bulk under the pressure. And what a sensational run. The comments are flooding in about Taylor Barnard's prowess in this one. Greg Sakaki, BHM, should put Barnard in F2. I have to say, I couldn't agree more. What a performance right from the start. Tapanen got a belter off the line, faster than Kamara. But immediately he decided he was going to go for broke on Barnard. He had a good run, he had an opportunity. He decided to go for it. You're a racing driver, you see a gap, you make it happen. Barnard is on the back foot here. Tapanen's actually in the lead, but Barnard asserts himself. No, I'm not going to lose this. Excellent work. Forceful, but fair. Firm, but sporting. And an absolutely terrific race. I will pause and give you the highlights of Taylor Barnard's fabulous run in front of Tukka Tapanen. You'll see some great overtakes in the next couple of minutes, including this terrific duel between Barnard and Tapanen on the opening lap. There were more to come, of course, but we're going to get ourselves prepared and ready for the podium ceremony, where we're going to see Rafael Kamara in 3rd position, Tukka Tapanen in 2nd, and the man on the top spot is the British Bulldog, Taylor Barnard. Tappanen! The championship leader continues to bag good points and continues his epic run. But in first position for the United Kingdom, Taylor Barnard! Another brilliant win for the BHM AIX racing team today, and a strong result for him in fabulous fashion. Now it's my honour to invite Mr. Amer Khan Sahab, the board member and managing director of Union Properties. He will make his way to the podium, and he will be our dignitary who will present the trophies to our fantastic 3 racing drivers on the podium in this first Formula Regional Middle East Championship race of the weekend on the Dubai Autodrome. Firstly, to our driver in 3rd position for Brazil and Mumbai Falcons, Rafael Kamara. And secondly, in 2nd position for Finland and Race GP, Tukka Tappanen. And thirdly, for our race winner for the United Kingdom and PHM AIX, Taylor Barnard. And also for the Rookie Cup winner, that goes to Tukka Tappanen. A fabulous performance and a great race. Always wonderful when you get to have a green to flag race play out in fantastic fashion. Great battles, amazing driving, and some wonderful displays. And guess what, folks? We have 2 more of those races to come this weekend from Formula Regional Middle East. They'll give us plenty of excitement and badinage out on the circuit, I'm sure. So, for the drivers, they get to have one final podium celebration picture. And then, of course, they will prepare themselves ready for race 2. Don't expect too much spray from them because they want to make sure that their race suits stay dry. So they will obviously have a race later on today. But that wraps up things for race 1 from the Formula Regional Middle East Championship. There's more where that came from this afternoon. They'll get back out onto the circuit again here at Dubai Autodrome. From me, Jake Sanson, we'll be back later for more great action.
Was all worth it, huh?
Regional Middle East.
Yeah. Well done.
Hello viewers, the first round of the Manufacturers Cup is upon us, and Polyphony were not messing about with this one. First of all, the race takes place at the fearsome Nürburgring Nordschleife. It begins in heavy rain, but then progresses into a drier track, but it gets darker, which makes visibility very difficult. And also for good measure, mechanical damage was set to high.